Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to SRAB's second in a series of 5 webinars on teacher workforce. 2 years ago, SRAB identified 5 priorities. Teacher workforce was one of those 5 priority areas, and this is the second in a series. This one is targeted at district leaders. Upcoming ones will be around principals and mentors and grow your own pathway leaders and policymakers, education policymakers. SRAB is proud to be a leader in the space in the South around teacher workforce, and it's a big priority for us and for educators in the South. We have several good panelists on here with us, and Dr. Gonsolin, if you'd introduce yourself, I would appreciate that.
Yes, sir. Good morning, everyone. My name is Walter Gonsolin. I'm the superintendent for Jefferson County Schools. I've been an educator for over 30 years, and this is my 7th year as a superintendent of Jefferson County Schools.
Thank you, Dr. G. Jennifer?
Hi, good morning. My name is Jennifer Granger. I am a cosmetology teacher in Sumner County, Tennessee, and this is my 4th year teaching. Completed the program just last year and super excited.
Sarah?
Hi there, my name is Sarah Swinger, and I am in my 2nd year of teaching. I'm a 2nd year candidate in the program. I teach at Portland East Middle School, located in Sumner County, and I teach ELA.
Dr. Alexander?
Hi, I'm Justin Alexander, and I work in Sumner County Schools. I am the supervisor of educator prep for Sumner County, and I'm quickly approaching year 20 in education.
Chris, you want to tell them who you are?
Sure. So I'm Chris Bailey. I'm Director of State and District Partnerships with SRAB and with the Teaching to Lead program, which is our teacher induction program that we use with CTE, ELA, math, science, humanities, and special needs and ESL now.
Deb?
Hi, I'm Deb Cullen. I'm a former English teacher and a former English teacher in a technical center, and now I'm an instructional coach with SRAB, and I'm on the Teaching to Lead team, and I work in Sumner County and lots of other counties across the country with the HEART program as well as Teaching to Lead.
Excellent. Well, Chris and I have a series of questions. Some of them are targeted at the teachers to get the teacher voice in this important space. And some of them are targeted at the 2 district leaders to get their voice in this as well. I'll start with a superintendent question. Why should districts build a systems-based approach to educator support, and what does your current induction plan for new teachers look like?
Steve, I'd like to take that one first. A system-based approach, it ensures consistency across schools. When every new teacher receives structured support, regardless of their school site, we set them up for a long-term success. Our current induction plan includes multi-year mentoring, targeted professional development, peer collaboration, instructional coaching aligned with our district's instructional framework.
Excellent. Excellent. Justin?
I might answer that question by asking another question, and that would be, do you want to keep the people in the positions that you hire? Because if you don't have this, then you're going to be constantly circling that drain of finding new people to put in these positions. And I will say, I think the systems-based piece for us, what we've experienced in Sumner County, is it's really helped us align resources and get buy-in from department to department across the district, and really plug in to that new teacher support.
Thank you. In your district, what elements are prioritized? Do you prioritize things like mentoring, professional development?
We have
collaboration?
Mentoring, coaching, and professional development would probably be the top 3. The professional development goes hand in hand with everything we do. And then I would almost say targeted coaching. So we have different options available for our coaching, and we utilize those based on candidate need.
And in Jefferson County, mentoring is our cornerstone. Each new teacher is paired with a trained mentor. We also prioritize peer collaboration through PLCs. We believe the blend of relationship-based support and skill development is what drives growth and retention. Because again, our goal is long-term, setting our teachers up for long-term success.
Thank you, Dr. G.
Sarah and Jennifer, hearing those answers about those pieces that are cornerstone to these programs, from your experience, which parts of the induction program that you've been involved in or are currently involved in, which ones are the most useful, such as PD or mentoring? What did you find that was the most useful out of those? And was there anything that you felt like was missing?
I felt that the coaching has been paramount for me in my journey to getting to this spot. Deb can tell you, I came into this very not believing in myself. I was living under my shadow, and Deb and our other coaches in our program have really fanned that flame in me and powered that engine until I could see for myself through the data, through feedback from my peers, through feedback from students that like, oh, I'm good at this. I can do this. I'm naturally good at this. And I would not have ever gotten to that place had I not had coaches like Deb and the coaches that are based in our district, seeing that spark in me and fanning it into a flame. That the coaching has been, like I said, it's been paramount for me finding success here. That's what has been paramount from the get-go. Anytime anyone asks me how this has worked for me, the first thing I tell them is I have support. Everywhere I look, I have somebody supporting me, and that I would not be sitting in this chair in this classroom if it weren't for all those multi-layered supports that are in place for me.
Yeah, I would totally agree. I obviously CTE for me coming out of industry, not knowing the first thing about teaching, even as a parent, running a classroom is different. So all the basics that I learned in the EPP class, and I think the light bulb went off when you said that, Sarah. I didn't really believe in myself either. I remember my boss was like, you work harder than anybody I know. And I thought, I do.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't in teaching because I didn't have the tools that I learned in my EPB class. I learned everything, my intensive coming into the program. But not just that, the support from my admin. We have an amazing admin, having a connection to our board. Spending time with those people has made such a big difference just in being, a presence there. And you don't know what you don't know until someone goes, hey, you're doing a great job. Hey, it's okay that you made this mistake. Hey, I was sick 9 times my first year teaching. Like, I didn't know any of that was going to come. So having the support from admin, our district, and the EPP program, like Chris Bailey, I really can't speak enough about how he poured into, and you could see his experience and understanding to have grace on ourselves. But the support, again, Sarah, was everything, because when I fell down, there was always somebody to go, hey, I've been there. Hey, it's okay.
Yep.
Hey, take a deep breath. Hey, take care of yourself. Hey, you're making a difference. You're changing the next generation. You're doing a great job. And I think I was shocked when people would say, you're doing a great job, because I was like, I'm drowning over here. I mean, as a new teacher, drowning is how I felt. So.
Right.
But definitely, I think that both of you addressed thoughts about getting good feedback that's actionable, feedback that you can really build off of. How has the induction program that you were involved with, how has it impacted your confidence in the classroom as a teacher, your classroom management, your instructional practices? How have those things, the induction program, affected those aspects of your teaching?
I could speak first on that. Everything from how I lay my classroom out, where I put my agenda, how I make my seating charts, how to manage my classroom. I'm really very strict my first couple of weeks of school. And then I just then I get calm and, you know, then they found out I love them once they understand where my standard is. And I couldn't have done that without those tips and tricks. I mean, I give out tickets for participation. I don't wait for people to be called on. I call on people, walking around the classroom, engaging. I learned that if they teach themselves, if they teach something, then they retain the information. So I make them teach a lot of what we do. I mean, everything. I literally came from zero to a place where I'm respected and we have a growing program, and it's amazing. And I could not have done it without the EPP, 100%.
I would totally agree. And that the actionable feedback, I feel like it's gotten even more robust as the program has grown and the staffing of the program has grown. And now like my kids know that like one of a handful of people might be in here. And at first I was like, are they going to look at me different? Like now knowing that I'm also being taught, and they don't, they, I had one that I was being observed, and that's the quietest they've been all year long. And when she left, I was like, wow, y'all were really, really quiet. And he turns around, the loudest one, we didn't want to embarrass you, Miss Swinger. So I was like, y'all get me. They get me. Like y'all got it. Okay, period. And I think that the actionable feedback that I've gotten from my coaches along the way has really helped me to not be scared when I hear my door jingle. And I think that's something that puts me a little bit of a leg up from some of my peers, like that will get really nervous when they hear the door jingle, like, oh, it's time to put on the dog and pony show. Because for me, it was so deeply ingrained from pretty much day one that I was going to be observed, that now I welcome that feedback. I want you to tell me what I'm doing right. I want you to tell me what I can do better. And it's always framed, because so much of this process is experiential learning. Like, I'm not going to fail. I'm not going to hurt anyone. I'm not going to fail a kid because I did something wrong one day. I figure it out. It's such a reflective process that figuring out something didn't work, awesome. That's almost better for me to know this didn't work than to see something go well, because now I'm prepared for, okay, I need to know that if the iPads all go down, that I've got a plan B, whatever that might look like. And so the fact that there's so much grace that's built into the program through the mentorship and through our supports, through our admin, they all know that we're brand new baby teachers. And so the grace that I've gotten from all of them, sometimes when they walk in, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. And no one's ever, I haven't gotten lashings yet. I haven't gotten, I'm still might be on the table, but there's so much grace. And I think that that's been so important for me as a perfectionist, to know that I don't have to do it perfect. They're going to give me feedback. I'm never going to be perfect. I'm never going to have it go 100% perfect. And hearing from my classmates, we have a group text, and most of us, funny enough, like teach the same subject and the same curriculum. And so they'll say, hey, I did this lesson. This really worked for me. Oh, I tried this with this lesson. This really worked for me. And so we've kind of built this like support group within ourselves that it in and of itself, we receive feedback from, because we know we're finding out what works for them, trying it out on our kids. I have one that moved from my school and is now at another teacher in our program school. So that experiential learning has been so awesome to be part of, because it was never an expectation that I needed to be doing it perfect. It was just, I'm always learning, and I'm always just becoming a better version of the person that I already am.
I love that. I just want to add real quick. My principal said he wished he could put all of our staff through the EPP program. So I think that speaks volumes to, not that we don't have good teachers, but that building something around a district and what they want, and that camaraderie and everything that Sarah just so elegantly spoke on, all of that makes such a difference, because we're doing the same thing and we're able to bounce everything off of each other and have that support. But I thought that spoke volumes for our EPP program.
Absolutely.
Dr. G and Justin, how does the district support mentors and instructional coaches in the induction program?
Okay, I'll take that one first. So, if you're going to have a successful induction program and you want your teachers to be successful, then it's important that your coaches and mentors you set them up for success as well. So in Jefferson County, the first thing that we do, we make sure that we invest in our coaches, highly invest in them. And that comes in many different ways. And first of all, we make sure that they have access to their own PLCs and that they're compensated over time. And this might not seem like something big, but we also make sure that we don't overburden them with large caseloads. Because again, we want to set up the mentors and coaches for success so that the teachers can be successful as well.
Yeah, I'll speak to two different groups in Sumner County. I have my own team that's the Teach Sumner team that focuses on our program specific candidates, but then are also utilized by building leaders for new teachers when they see something that they want help with. But we also have a group of teacher leaders and instructional coaches that work with all of our teachers, including all of our new teachers. And so the district does invest in that group. And I think it's important that they have, just like Dr. G said, their own PLC time where they get to plan together, meet together, talk about the things that they are doing. We are very particular in Sumner about what else is put on our instructional coaches' plates. We ask really that nothing else is put on their plates so they can attend to what they're supposed to be doing, which is coaching every day. So they have calendared meeting times for their PLCs. They do have extra stipend contract pieces that go with them. They also all are put through, we partner here locally with a university, Lipscomb University, to ensure that they all have the coaching certificates. So we increase, their knowledge of what they're being asked to do to make sure that they can do the things that really help teachers. And the added benefit for them is they can, I think now if they add 2 or 3 classes to that, they can roll that right into an additional master's degree. And so that's a bonus for that group to see that we do value that work and we value them doing that work.
How does your induction program work with licensure or other certifications in your state?
So I'll take this one first because I think my answer might be a little different. So our induction program is actually growing out of our licensure program. So we started our Teach Sumner program 3 years ago to license teachers. So we license our own teachers, and we started with CTE cohorts, so career technical education. It was just really hard to talk somebody into, hey, I want you to make about $30,000 less, and then I want you to pay $20,000 to go get your teaching certificate. That's a hard sell. So we figured out a way to do it on our own. And so we partnered with SREB to bring that to fruition. And then I don't know if I'm smart or crazy, but I've added endorsements every semester since then. So we can service and give licensure to almost every core academic area and special ed now. And so what we've seen as our program grows and what we've had really pushed from the building level is we want all of our teachers, all of our new teachers to get the things that Teach Sumner teachers are getting. So now we're going back and we started this summer and we're trying to fill those gaps with really beefing up our Sumner County induction program to really match what we're doing with Teach Sumner.
And in Jefferson County, our induction program, it's aligned with state licensure requirements and also best practices. For example, we partner with SREB to ensure that all of our CTE teachers are certified through the Teaching to Lead program. And through that particular program, we've had 22 of our teachers complete the program, but across the state of Alabama, through the Alabama Department of Education, around 355 teachers have completed their certification with this as well. And we find that teaching to lead program, it is effective because it's robust, is authentic instructional practices, which is key when it comes to our CTE teachers coming from industry. It's they're exposed to things that they can use, that they can relate to, and again, it helps them to be more successful. And they get their certification and the support they need to be successful.
How do you gather feedback from teachers to improve your program?
Teacher voice is important. So we want to make sure that we get that voice, we get the input from them, and we do it, through some of the traditional ways, through surveys, focus groups, and regular check-ins. I really like the focus groups because that's the time that we can get information outside of the surveys, right? We're talking to the people, and then we could get them to expound on some certain things. For example, how robust is the project? How relevant and authentic it is for them. And so we find that helps us to really relate to them to get all of that information.
Yeah, I would say I would echo the info coming back from surveys, both internal and from SREB. But I think those daily conversations are probably the better indicator of the teacher voice, that they don't hesitate to let us know what's valuable and what, hey, I'm not sure that I'm using this the right way, or I'm not sure that we need this. And we encourage that. We really encourage that from the beginning. And I would highly encourage really two pieces of this to anyone who's thinking about beefing up their induction program. We make a statement every year when we start that anything we ask our candidates to go through, if it's not practical application, then call us on it. We're not trying to teach you theory. We're trying to teach you how to be successful in the classroom. And so if we're not focused on practical application, we invite them to call us on it. And so we can make a change, because we want everything that we do for them to be able to take it and replicate it in the classroom. And one of the biggest pieces that helps this, and our two teachers kind of already hit on this, is we have cohort modeled everything. So even when we beefed up our induction program this year, they came through cohorts. And so they have a group that they can lean on and have those conversations like Sarah was mentioning, like, hey, I tried this, it worked, or hey, I tried this, it didn't work, and kind of bounce those ideas. So it's not just that information getting kicked around in a session or in a coaching session, but it's, man, I can't get this off my mind because it didn't go the way I wanted to. So I'm going to text my group, because I have a group, and I'm going to see what they think. And I'm going to get some feedback that way. And then I'm going to adjust and move forward. And I think that is vitally important as you're thinking about improving a program or starting a big, robust induction program. If you can figure out a way to cohort model it, that's the way to go.
And Steve, if I could add to what Justin just said, we use the data we get the data from the surveys, the focus groups, all of these things. But, we also take that data and we use it to inform program structure and how we make the adjustments. Because then what we're finding, that the candidates who are in the program, then they see that we're listening to them, and that we're making the appropriate adjustments so that they can be successful.
Thank you. Well, all the panelists have done a really good job talking about the why and the how. We're going to transition and talk about challenges and the future. First, for the challenges, what are the biggest challenges districts face when trying to implement and sustain a strong induction program?
I think for us, it was time on task to get the planning and the cross-departmental nature of what a real true induction program looks like and needs, to all be aligned and in one place. I think the time was a big issue So we created, this was over the course of the last couple of years now, we created a group that's a extremely cross-departmental group. Because you got to have your IT guys in there to get new passwords and computers and all those kind of things, and student information system logons, all of those. That we wanted all the people in the right room, and so we really focused on, hey, what stakeholders need to be here when we talk about new teacher induction, and let's make sure that they're in on this from the beginning, have buy-in on it, and it's probably our county's largest cross-departmental team.
Your program is only going to, your induction program is only going to be as strong as your mentors, their skill set. So it is very important. Well, one of our challenges would be the recruiting and the retention of very strong mentors. And one of the other things that we see is that, in a school district, anything can happen. You have a crisis that occurs, right? You have staff shortages, and that's where, you tend to want to, you're sidelined a little, right? You're focusing on those other things. And so then the teacher induction program, it can not get as much emphasis or attention that it should get. But the irony of that is that that's when they need it the most. When there's a crisis, when there's a situation where we don't have enough staff members. So our goal is to stay focused on the main thing, and which is to ensure that we don't compromise this teacher induction program.
Jennifer and Sarah, as far as looking at what your program has been so far, how could administrators or mentors better support you during the first years of your teaching career?
I'll go first in case this bell rings again. How could they support me more? I can't speak enough about how wonderful my admin is, honest to goodness. When they hired me, they knew that I knew my business, which is the program that I run here. And so anytime I've ever asked for anything, they let me have it. I mean, my principal came down, let my students cut his hair. That's some blind faith right there. And we recorded it and it made it on the news, which was awesome. But I think listening to me, I think if they didn't listen to me, that would be really difficult for me. But they don't. They listen to me. They trust me with my program. And anytime I ask for anything, like they're like, okay, just tell me what you need. And they're so supportive. And so, I mean, that's definitely why our program is booming. And, we've asked for another teacher, and hopefully we'll get that. So I wish be good admin. It makes all the difference. The leadership from above rolls down and you feel it. One thing that our admin has always done has really spent a lot of time talking about the relationships that we build with our students. And so that's what we do. We start with a relationship, and then we ask these kids to meet us up here, and they meet us up here, and it's definitely a culture that is wonderful, and it's why I've been teaching for, going on 4 years. So hope that answered that.
And I'll piggyback off of what Jennifer was saying with that relationship building piece. My admin has been so amazing. Especially they received my resume from Justin, and I had not applied to work here. I had applied to a couple of schools closer to where I lived at the time, and they got my resume. There was a position that needed to be filled, and I think they have been so good to me and care so much about me as a person, that, I mean, the past 2 years of my life have been really nutty. I've gotten married. I moved. I bought a home. I've moved, and started teaching. Forgot to mention that. And they have been so good to me, and everything that the program has asked me, whether that's field observations or to need to record a class or to having people in and out of my room. There's nothing that like Teach Sumner could ask for me to do that my admin wouldn't be backing 100%, because they know that that's what I need to do for me to be able to for me to be the best me. And that's like, even just being here today, having a class covered, there was no question in my mind that my admin would do that for me, because they care about Sarah Swinger, not just the product that I give as a teacher. They care about me. And I think that that trickles down to like from the leadership with Teach Sumner. Deb is practically a member of my family at this point. Like, and that also goes for all of our Teach Sumner staff. And I think if I could give advice to, like, as they continue to build the program, our cohort being the size that it is, has been so wonderful, because we are like a family. I could call Deb at 2:00 in the morning and she'd pick up. And you'll, like, in our group text, you'll see sometimes like it's can be very late at night, and people, because we're human, like people are like, there's a person in our cohort whose husband is having some medical issues, and like I'm like round the clock praying for this person, because that's what we are. We're a family. And so, and I don't know, I don't know what that number, I don't know that there's a magic number, but I think as it continues to grow, I hope that it keeps that cohort family feel, because that has been for me, and how my brain works, and the kind of support and, for lack of a better word, the kind of attention that I need, that has been so paramount to me being successful, is knowing that my admin cares about me, my coaches care about me, my mentors care about me, people in the building care about me. And then when my cup is filled that way, that's the only way that I'm able to pour out from my cup to my students. I'm not able to show up for them emotionally if I don't feel like anybody cares about me. And I think that that's why we see so much burnout right now in education, is we're asking teachers to meet such a high bar, without maybe considering like that person is a human being with a family and with stuff going on in their life. And it, regardless of what it is, I know that I could go take it to my admin and we would figure it out together, because they don't just care about Miss Swinger, the 6th grade ELA teacher. They care about Sarah Swinger, who I am when I leave the door. Admin, coaches, Dr. Alexander, everyone, I feel really act like they know me. They know who I am. They know what I'm about. And I think that that is what makes our program really special and unique, is that we all feel really seen and cared about. And if there's an issue in my classroom, somebody's going to be there within probably the week to see what's up, help me plan, help me problem solve, see what's going on physically in the room. And that just speaks volumes to how much they care about not just Miss Swinger, the ELA teacher, but Miss Swinger, the person.
What advice would you give other districts trying to strengthen their induction model?
Well, I think that Sarah just answered that question for all of us. That was powerful. Several years ago, when I was young in administration, I read this book, and it was featuring invitational education in the 5 P's for school success: practices, procedures, policies, and then people being the most important P. So that therefore, you have to build your structure around people. It is important for you to know, to see that teacher as a person outside the title of being a teacher, whether just getting married or just buying a house or whatever. But I heard Sarah say a couple of times, we're a family. So pulling those people in to truly let them know that you care about them past that title of a teacher, but that you care about them as a person. And once that is established, then it's not rocket science. You know, a district has got to have clear vision and non-negotiables about that particular program. They have to invest in mentors and coaches and align the induction with your district's instructional goals. When you do a teacher induction program, it can't be your instructional goals over here or your strategic plan over here, and then outside of that is the teacher induction program. No, it must be a part of it, and it needs to align so that everyone involved, the organization and also the people in the organization, they clearly understand where we're going with our teacher induction and any other initiative that we have. And last, I would say you have to listen. Listen to the people who are involved in it. They'll tell you what's working and what's not working so that you can be flexible and continue to strengthen your program.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dr. Alexander.
I'll echo what's been said. Just, you know, in Sumner County, one of the phrases that we operate around all the time is do what's best for the student. And so in our particular team, and really in a lot of cases, doing what's best for the student is taking care of the people that we're working with. And so when we have candidates and new teachers, that was the charge of us really beefing up our induction side of this. Is we want to take care of them so they can take care of the kids. And that's been the whole goal. And every time that there's a question, well, should we do this or should we cut back on this? And my question every time was, do we feel like this is taking care of the candidate, the teacher? Because if it is, then we should do it. If we're going to take care of them, then they can better take care of the students in their classroom. And we are focused within our Sumner team. We do want it to feel like a family, and we want it to feel like you can, and we verbalize that. We don't shy away from it. We want it to feel like a family. We want you to be able to bring whatever it is you're struggling with, whether it's something that's happening in class or your car broke down, like whatever it is, we want to know about it so we can take care of you as a person. And that way you're more available to perform at a high level and do the things that you're trying to do very well.
Excuse me, we have a couple comments and a question in the chat. First, there must have been a book mentioned, and she said, what book did you read? I would love to read it. So was that Dr. G talking about a book, or? I'm not sure.
Yes, it was me. It's called Invitational Education.
Invitational Education. I'll put that in the chat.
And I'll get the author and more information and put it in the chat as well.
Thank you very much. Also, we have a teacher from Erie, Pennsylvania, who is saying that she agrees wholeheartedly. Her doctoral program was with the cohort model. She's really trying to help out her school in Erie, Pennsylvania, establish this formalized induction program, but she's having a struggle. She has a curriculum director and no instructional coaches. She's trying to advocate for PLCs and professional development grant writing, but she says she's just the math interventionist teacher from outside the organization. So is there any kind of maybe some advice that you might be able to give her on that situation?
Can you reframe that last part of that question?
I sure can. She's as a math intervention teacher from an outside organization, she's wondering how she might be able to advocate for PLCs and professional development through the curriculum director. There's no instructional coaches, maybe some like first steps that she might be able to take or people that she could go to in order to fortify an overall formalized induction program.
So if I were trying to advocate, if we didn't have coaches and I were trying to advocate for coaches, I for a new teacher, I would say that I would harp on the fact that there is no way you can take care of that teacher without a dedicated coach to be able to be there and see what's going on in that classroom that's not only placing a burden, and maybe this is where you go. It's not only placing a burden that's undue on that teacher, but it's also burdening that administrative staff. If that administrative staff has to coach every new teacher, you're asking a lot of an administrative staff in a building to not have the resource of an instructional coach. I mean, if you want to see your teachers grow and you want to see your students grow, that's really the first person I would hire is an instructional coach in the building to be able to push that growth that you're wanting to see.
You know, I remember when I first became a teacher, an educator over 30 years ago. And I found myself in search and in need of certain things. And so to answer it, it seems as though this person is saying, hey, I see a need for this particular thing and I'm looking for voice, right? How is my voice getting heard? So I can only give you what I did. First, I had to learn my school, the school that I was in, to find out, how do I give voice, right? How do they collect voice? Is it through surveys? Are there committees that I need to serve on, right? Because believe it or not, you know, as first year teachers, when I was a first year teacher, I was just, getting there, new to the profession, but there were things that my voice needed to be heard so that we can increase the effectiveness of it. So the next thing, so I had to learn my school to find out those avenues for the voice, but then I also had to learn my district as well, because I saw some of my colleagues, they were serving on this committee or that committee, and how at the district level, I was like, how do I get on that committee? So I had to learn the district avenues as well, and then once I learned that, I began to volunteer and participate so I could be on those different committees to say, hey, we really need an induction program, a new teacher induction program. And I use the example of the school and the district, because at the school level, you can get certain things done, but at the district level, you can get more things done, right? So it's a matter of finding out those avenues in both of those areas so that you can communicate what the needs are and start encouraging people to bring data to the table and looking at certain things. That book that I talked about earlier is The Fundamentals of Invitational Education. I remember I knew one of the authors, as a matter of fact, and he began to let me read that, and I thought that was so essential for success. And so I'm serving on these committees, and I was able to bring a resource to the table that others could look into. And so getting involved, understanding those areas in which those avenues for your voice to be heard, and bringing things to the table.
Dr. Alexander also put another good book in the chat. He said it's Unreasonable Hospitality by is it Guidara?
Laura, yeah, it's a book about taking care of people.
Those are great resources. Thank you.
Turning toward the future. First, for the two administrators, what benefits have you seen for teachers who complete a strong induction program?
I think the biggest thing that we see is actually feedback from administration in the buildings. And they feel like the teachers who have completed the pieces that we've laid out are much more prepared to handle those first days of school. They have a plan for that first week, first couple of weeks, and they know how to replicate that success of the first 2 weeks. And that's a large part of our induction piece, our intensive, is to get those plans and really have that moment of realization with those educators that, hey, we've only done this once. You're going to have to keep doing this throughout the year to be successful. but we're going to walk that road with you because we have coaches in place, we have instructional coaches in place, we have mentors in place, our admin is aware. We're going to walk that road with you. And if you'll keep doing these things, you'll be successful in that first year. And that's what we hear from our administrators more than anything else is we love that we're not having to start at ground zero, that they are able to go in and actually help coach and improve actual instructional practice rather than trying to put all the pieces together still.
And to add to that and echo, I think that you have a better prepared professional, somebody who's ready to meet the challenges that's ahead of them. You also you prepare a person, they wind up having a better relationship with their peers, more positive relationship with their peers. And then what that does is it builds that confidence. And I think the word family has been thrown around. People feel a part of the family, and that, who doesn't want to be a part of a family? That I go to work every day with people I like, with people I'm laughing with, people I share. And so, you shift the mindset when when you have a productive induction program from I have to go to work to I get to go to work. And then ultimately you see that they have a more positive and better outcomes with their student achievement, right? Because that professional is prepared. That professional is ready, excited, motivated. Y'all, I'm glad I'm participating on this panel because what it's doing is it's bringing back some memories, and so I was, before I started teaching, I came straight out of college. I graduated in counseling and communication, and I got into the business world. I was all excited about being assistant manager and manager of a shoe store. Right, I was selling shoes, man. I was excited about that career, right? And then I have a cousin and aunt who came in to the store where I was working, and I was all excited about sharing her what I was doing in my future, and she let me get it all out. And then her question to me was, "But what are you doing here?" And I was deflated. What does that mean? And she began to tell me, in which I already knew, that she had been working in the education field for 30 years and invited me over to dinner for Sunday dinner. And I got to meet other family members who are educators. And then she told me, she said, "It's in your blood. That's who you are. That's who you're supposed to be." And, she was right. And I knew that. But no one had ever really challenged me to do that. And so when I said, "Okay, this is what I'm going to do," she took me to the next room, and she began to introduce me to books by Harry Wong, and she had a blackboard in the room. I was like, "Are we really about to do this?" Right? And and but through, I would say that was my new teacher induction. And she was a supervisor at this district office, and she just happened to be over elementary schools, which I was teaching 6th grade. So I had my own real life, real time mentor and coach who's my relative, and it helped me. I still remember from that Sunday dinner about her telling me to have wittedness and to make sure that when I'm right on that blackboard, that I do not turn my back to the students. And I'm always aware of, I just couldn't believe on a Sunday afternoon, right after Sunday dinner, that this is what we were doing, but it worked. It worked. And so I think that's what you do. You build those people up. You allow them to be prepared as they could be for that moment, right? And you will have a more prepared employee, and they will produce outcomes that are positive for their students, which builds confidence as well.
Thank you for that answer. That, when SREB started that Teach to Lead program, we decided it was hard to have a good first year without having a good start. And so we did exactly the things that Dr. G and Justin described there. We start with that first unit of instruction, and those new teachers have a solid instructional plan that has the standards they're going to address, the resources they're going to use, the assessment plan for that, and the classroom management plan for that. And heck, if you have a good few first weeks, and then you learn the whys and the hows on how you design that, because we don't do it for you, we help them design it. Well, then Jennifer and Sarah can replicate. That's what a good unit looks like. Keep it up. Keep it up. If you have a good start, it's easier to have a good year. Where do you see the future of teacher induction heading in your district?
I think the next things that we're working on, like I said, we expanded this year out of our Teach Sumner Educator Prep program into full county new teacher induction and some things, but where we're really plugging in, looking to grow, is continuing that on outside of year one. And the way that we are looking to do that is some very dedicated and directed professional learning that is led by the Teach Sumner group and revisits. It's, you think of good curriculum that spirals, it revisits some of those things in that second year, even in that third year, to really make sure that the basics are intact for that foundation for a teacher, so they can grow and do the things that they want to do. So I think that's the future in our district, is really beefing up that professional learning profile of how you can come through the program and we can keep contact with you all the way through your educational journey as a teacher in the classroom, and then whatever else you decide to do within the district. It's not just, okay, you got done with the induction program, good luck. It's those continued touch points that we're looking to build year over year.
And we see the future as very promising in Jefferson County. To date, we have 269 first and second year teachers with experienced mentors in our district. And so again, it's past that first year, but it extends to the second year. And we have a very strong partnership with the Alabama Department of Education and their Alabama Teacher Mentoring Program. And we're doing that because we feel that those tools and protocols are essential to the growth and development of our Jeff Coed mentors and mentees. And using that data, using that experience to then look at how do we serve those people past the induction program? How do we continue to work with them and lead them along their way, and continue to pour into them?
Final question, a closing question for all of our four panelists. And we'll hit right at that hour time limit. One word, if you just had one word to describe your teacher induction program, what would that one word be? And you give us a couple of sentences about that one word.
I would say necessary. And it's necessary because, I couldn't see it. I couldn't see teachers nor a school being successful, or school district for that fact, being successful without it. We have to invest in those programs, not just for the sense of the program, but for the success of the people. And I think what happens in those first couple of years, research shows is that, that what happens within those first couple of years as a teacher educator will determine whether these people stay in education, whether you keep them or not. And so I would say necessary.
If I were summing ours up in one word, what I hope people would say is that it's innovative. And the word around that is we want to be innovative in the program, but we want to be innovative for our candidates, and we want to innovate new opportunities for them and new learning at any chance we get. So I think that's why I would lean on that innovative word.
Jennifer or Sarah?
I would say that it's pioneering, because this is the future of, this is what teaching looks like now. And I've definitely had, my mother-in-law is a 33-year long teaching veteran, and she told me, she was like, be prepared for people to maybe not disrespect, but maybe not really honor the path that you're taking, because it's not the traditional 4-year route with a stint of student teaching and all this other. And I have experienced that. But this is what it looks like now. I would scream from the rooftops for all counties to have something that looks like what we have, because I know that there are other Sarah Swingers that are sitting in a cubicle job wanting to be a teacher but can't. I worked in juvenile justice before I did this. I was a probation officer, and I knew I was supposed to be a teacher, but I didn't have the resources to go back to college. And now I'm able to do what I love, and I'm able to impact lives. I think that that's how, this is how we have to have this now. There's a teacher shortage for a reason, and this fulfills both what I needed as in my life, and it fulfills the job that's needed in my school. And so I think that this is what the future of education looks like. Not that that college experience isn't still necessary. Of course, it still is, and I'm envious of some of my peers that had that, but this is where we're going, and I'm so grateful to be part of something that's so innovative and groundbreaking, and kind of blazing this trail of what it looks like to have job embedded teachers. Because without job embedded teacher, like in my building, there's like 4 or 5 of us right now, and I don't want to speak for I don't want to sound self-congratulatory, but we're all doing a pretty good job, and we're all excited about what we get to do. And we are the next, we are what our school looks, we're going to be the veteran teachers at our school in like probably another 10 years. And none of us came from that traditional route. And so I'm, like I said, I'm very grateful to be part of this first or second cohort of what we get to do, and to just see how it continues to grow while keeping those pillars that we talked about, that family oriented small cohort sizes, things like that. So that this can just continue to have that ripple effect in our community.
Jennifer?
It was awesome, Sarah. Mine would be prepared, for sure, because I didn't really speak. I was the first cohort. So we also have a group text. We became like family. There's actually 4 of us from my school particularly. So, it's funny that you say we'll be the veterans, because that's true. It's almost like we're the new standard that's been set, that is district specific, that is, I don't know, it's almost like because we did it together and because our district was directly involved, we are bought in a way that you might not see that in some veteran teachers that went that traditional route. I never imagined I would be a teacher. I feel super called and absolutely love my job and love my students and love my program, and actually love teaching people to come in and do what I do. I'm not teach Sumner, but I'm teaching them how to be an instructor, which has been super cool. But there's no way I could do this job. There's no way I could have lasted if I hadn't had the EPP program, the support from the members in my EPP program. We have a group text too. But we get to see each other on the regular, and we're different. We look different. Who would have known that what we got specifically from Teach Sumner greatly affected our techniques, our excitement, and literally the first week of school. I remember telling my coworkers, like, hey, let me tell you what we're doing the first 2 or 3 days. We're getting to know each other. We're building relationships. We're setting standards. We're, raising the bar. We're excited and on fire about teaching. Because it can be incredibly negative, unfortunately. And so just because we have such a close-knit community where we learned, I feel like there is so much more positivity there because we don't feel like we're alone. We're not alone in this, which is awesome. So I appreciate you allowing me to be a part of this.
Well, thank you for your voice. Teacher voice is so important in this, and we appreciate you and Sarah being here to help us with this. Also, thanks to our 2 district leaders that have helped us. If you've enjoyed this, thank you for being here. This one was targeted at district leaders, and you can look for emails from SREB about our upcoming teacher induction series targeting Grow Your Own Pathway leaders. Principals, mentors, and policymakers are all coming up in the next 3 weeks. Thank you very much for being here. And that concludes about our hour time limit that we have for this. We appreciate everyone's participants, and thank you to our panelists. Appreciate y'all.